So please allow me to share my screen, and I'll make sure the sound is on just in case. All right. So can everyone see my opening slide? Yeah, okay. You don't have to stay muted. As you'll see, this hopefully will be an interactive presentation. I'll just arrange the screen here a little bit for myself. There, that's better. So I am, as you can see in the picture, speaking to you from the traditional lands of Shawnigan. These are the area that the Hulkaminam speaking peoples hunted and gathered in, and we respect their caring connections to each other and the places where we live, work, and play here in Shawnigan. And this is a typical slide of our club. So we always open with the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And this is the spirit that our club was formed in. So we are just absolutely delighted to be presenting to you and sharing some stories tonight. So please participate and have fun in this Zoom presentation. You can use the chat and the raise hand reactions because we're listening, asking questions, and taking notes. So today's topic, and I'm delighted to be invited by Eileen to present on this topic, is Together We Grow, a new kind of Rotary Club. And I happen to be Shawnigan's EcoClub's founder. And my name is Kim Bernard. My vocational designation in Rotary is graphic design and gingerbread artistry. And I am the secretary of the EcoClub. It's been quite a year, let me tell you. So if you have ever been to Shonigan Lake, these two photos might be familiar to you. They represent some of the most Instagrammable spots that we have, being the Kinsall Trestle, which is also visited by different sporting events. And here you can see my bicycle having a rest. And on the right, we have the top of Mount Baldy and our famous swing that says Island Life on it. And it's recently been refurbished. So this is probably the third or fourth version of this swing. But what are we and why are we Rotary here for Shawnigan Lake? What was the vision and what was the need and where do we see ourselves fitting in? Well, let me tell you. So we are hopefully facilitating connections amongst the residents of Shawnigan Lake, both the permanent ones and the seasonal ones, and all of the different stakeholders here in our community. Here in Rotary, together we grow. And I felt this was the most inclusive message that we could base our club on, foundation-wise, especially as a cause-based environmental club. So I'd like to give you a bit of a timeline as to how the seed of the idea came to be. So because of the pandemic, was able to access a training series that's normally only possible with governors and governors-elect. So that was the Zone Institute last year in November 2020, and it was a total game changer for me. Prior to that, I had only served, as I said, as a public image chair and also, yeah, really just as a regular club member and had no prior leadership experience within Rotary. So it was absolutely amazing to be there. And my club president at the time also talked to me afterwards and said, would you like to be our next president-elect? And I said, well, actually, Greg, I got a bigger idea than that. I would love to start a new club. What do you say? Would you like to be the sponsor club for a club in Shawnigan? Let's grow Rotary. And I must say he was taken aback, but I really want to give the governor at the time, Greg Horn, a lot of credit too, because he was the one at Zone Institute who encouraged me over the phone and by Zoom. So I started on a plan. After that, and after that conversation with Greg, I started on some self-paced training in January of this year. I studied the RI Manual of Procedure, which is quite a large document. And I also got a copy of the PETS workbook because I didn't qualify for PETS. I wasn't going to be a president, but I really wanted to learn and understand what the leadership training was all about. So I just want to thank our district for making those documents available. So where did that go from here? Well, in order to start a new club, you want to start talking to your community. And so I created a number of different outreach documents and methods. So the first one in the upper left corner there was a full page ad that we took out in the local paper, the Shawnigan Focus. And we just put the word out. Do you care about the environment? Would you like to get together and be able to serve and develop your leadership skills? Do you want to see how Rotary fits in with that? And hey, let's have a conversation. So I created an opportunity for the community to connect with me over Zoom every Saturday for 2 months from noon till 1. And I just would reach out in the meantime to anyone I thought would be a good fit for Rotary. And so over time, sometimes my audience was an audience of 1, but we would just have a really good conversation. I would take lots of notes and ask lots of questions. So we'll call that community outreach. And from that, beginning in April, we started doing topical meetings. So we met on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays from 8 to 9 a.m. And we invited guest speakers, and we carried on just like we were an actual chartered Rotary Club. And I have to credit Dale Roberts and Corey Laparty for giving us a lot of support with that. They just said, go for it, pick your logo, pick your club name, go for it. And so we started recording meetings and creating a series of stories of where we were at. And we actually jumped into a community project, which was a cleanup day together with other clubs in groups in the Cowichan Valley. So hands-on project right away in April. So here's just a snapshot of some of the content in those community conversations and the notes that I took. So the vision that we started off with was to create accessibility to nature. And I won't read all the words here, but if you can read them, feel free to do so. It's not an eye test. We also wanted to promote ecological stewardship together with the other groups that exist here. We wanted to support wise economic growth and infrastructure in Shawnigan, which is a huge issue because we're not incorporated. So we are dependent on the province and on the Cvrd, and it can be really hard sometimes to get meaningful change done in a timely way. So we wanted to also foster relationships. That's what Rotary is all about, that networking and teamwork and making sure all the voices are heard and getting everyone to the table. And lastly, I felt I could bring a special brand of contagious enthusiasm to this effort and to be able to help find those like-minded eco-warriors out there. I knew they existed, and I knew there were volunteers in the making right here in our own community. So ultimately, it's our club members that get to shape this vision, but I wanted to share with you that it's across 3 pillars. So the first pillar is service and stewardship, which is very familiar to all Rotarians. We also wanted to really build thriving relationships right from the get-go and to never ever stop so that we would never grow stagnant or shrink in size. We wanted to always be open to growth. And along that theme, we wanted to grow our knowledge. And these days it's easier than ever with Zooms and other ways of connecting to incredible work that people are doing globally. So thank goodness for Rotary and other user groups within Rotary, like the Rotary Action Group for the Environment. So you'll hear more about that. So now I have a blank white slide because I wanted to share with you that we weren't starting from scratch. We actually were reaching out to all of the groups within our community. We started with the museum and the Historical Society, our wonderful story keepers. And you can see in this photo that there's also a tribute to South Cowichan Rotary's work. They've been building trails and benches and all sorts of wonderful projects connecting us to nature within our community. And that's been going on since 1991. So we really just want to honor the work that they've done and the great brand ambassadors they've been for Rotary. But we also wanted to have an open door right here in our village and to be able to meet outside and to connect with groups like the SRA, the Shawnigan Residents Association, that's been cheering us on during the pandemic. We've also had wonderful positive messaging from the Shonigan Lake Community Association, and that they're the network of business people who plan events throughout the year. And these are all groups that operate without a dedicated Rotary Club just for our community. Our closest club is South Cowichan. They are an early morning breakfast club, and they are serving 3 South End communities all at the same time. So I thought it was a wonderful opportunity for Shawnigan to step up and see what we could do. And it was at this time that Mo Fitzroberts, our past district governor, suggested that we look into what it would mean to be an eco-club. So I just want to land for a moment on this quote to inspire you. I think a major act of leadership right now, calling it a radical act, in fact, is to create the places and processes so people can actually learn together using our experience. So what it means to be a Rotary peacemaker, for example, bringing government and businesses and all of these longtime residents together and getting along and getting things done. So here's one of our outdoor meeting spaces. We are an outdoors club, and already this fall, spring, summer, and fall, we were able to use this to do some planning. And so I thought I'd throw in a picture of our club hard at work, planning the next little bit of projects and outings and taking notes and listening to each other. Our club president is Steve Elskins. He's the one on the left. So together we grow. And once again, I'd like to just shout out to all the talents, the vocational designations within our club. I did a little word cloud here, just plugging in some of the abilities and skills and experiences that everyone had. And so I thought you'd find that interesting. And this is how we look at our diversity and how we look, relate to who are the voices in Shawnigan? Who do we still need to talk to and connect with? And together we serve to change lives. So this is Shonigan Lake. I thought I'd grab a really detailed map just to show you at a bird's eye view, just a number of different dynamics going on here. So you've got the cabin life, all the people clustered along the edge of the lake. You've got the subdivisions and planned sort of family communities, all the commuters. You've got the woodlots, where the harvesting's going on, and you've got some designated parkland and other things that we would like to designate as parkland. So there's a lot happening in this picture, and undercurrents of environmental protection. We're all very, very cognizant of our water quality and whatnot. And I have to say that the seeds of this club was also born out of 3 years of cleanups. So this was a map that was created to help our residents participate and know of the areas that are currently suffering from litter or illegal dumping. And once again, just building that awareness that we need to take care of our treasure, our natural outdoor spaces. So this was one of the first things our club did. And it was a kind of an intrepid project, but we approached Mason's store and we said, would we be able to adopt your parking lot area? Can we pick up litter? Can we plant some plants? Can we basically just give it some TLC and some love? And so we talked to the businesses, we talked to the landlord, and they all agreed that Rotary was a trustworthy group of volunteers to say yes to. So this has been a huge success, albeit a lot of work, but it's definitely one of the icons of our community, and we'd like to take care of it. So speaking of icons, another group that we came alongside was the Shawnigan Basin Society. So we've been learning from them, and we recently featured them as our guest speaker to be able to talk about the riparian area around our lake. So you can find out more on our YouTube channel, but I'll get to that in just a few minutes. So these are some of the issues that are ongoing, and we are also lending our voice to this and helping facilitate discussion and peacemaking as well, plus outreach to people who, because we have tech skills, we're able to facilitate a lot of different Zoom meetings. So here we go with just some of the undercurrents. So these are the students of Shawnigan Lake School when we had um, the protests going on for the soil dumping, the tainted soil. And so you just have to know that there are lots of people here at Shawnigan that are passionate about the environment. And isn't it wonderful that we can now bring Rotary into the conversation and have a club that's uniquely positioned to serve our community?
I don't know. Okay, I listen.
And I'll just pause a moment so you can mute. Okay, so we've got ongoing learning happening from Zoom presentations galore. We've got connections to the Yellow Point Ecological Society. There's a West Coast Climate Action Network. And as I mentioned, ESRAG offers trainings just about every other Wednesday morning quite early. And here's a snapshot of a slide from one of the talks that was given by the Ecological Society about wildlife corridors in the Coxsackie River watershed. So there's lots of different environmental issues that we could be of service in. So as you know, Rotary is tasked with doing community assessments. And I have to say, we're especially gifted in that we came on the scene just as this document and series of research was done. So it's the Think Shawnigan Community Assessment Guide, and it's just chock-a-block full of ideas and other things we can do to create projects that fit with the overall plan and what the people have said they want for our community. And so you can imagine this was published just as the pandemic was starting. It was released in January 2020. And since then, only the Cvrd has been able to do a little bit here and there. So we are just so excited to be able to follow this guide and to facilitate others and do group projects together with some of the other stakeholders. So Rotary sees a world where together we unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. And we've had to teach even all of our new members what it means to be a part of Rotary. I have to say, being the one person in the club with 4 years of experience is both a blessing and a curse, because we're completely reinventing what it looks like to be a Rotary club. And I have to sit on my ideas sometimes so that I can facilitate these brand new Rotarians and what they would like to do with this club. So together we inspire. And at our lake, we have so many different stakeholders. From this vantage point, I think you've got Camp Pringle and all of the youth work that's going on there, and looking across to Mount Baldy. At the base of Baldy is the Easter Seal Camp and all of the potential to reach families. And then there's St. John's Academy is on that side of the lake, and they're doing wonderful work with their students in the environment. And on the opposite side at the West Arm, we've got Shawnigan Lake School and their environmental club. And one of our club members is the lead horticulturalist for their indoor grow dome projects. So that's been super exciting. This is a summary statement we prepared for a recent memorandum of understanding that we launched with Cvrd Parks and Trails. So I will read this out. It says, we are Canada's first Rotary EcoClub. We're part of a growing network of EcoClubs worldwide. We're based outdoors and devoted to environmental stewardship and sustainability practices. We believe in honoring our First Nations and other community stakeholders. We're actively networking to build collaborative relationships. We're sharing knowledge and developing strategic implementation of our Think Shawnigan community assessment recommendations through hands-on community projects. And there's a plug to visit our website under the Learn More tab to see more about Rotary, as well as more about what it is we do here in Shawnigan. And I thought I'd throw in some picture collages from our social media channels. So on Instagram, we do these fun little collages, and you can see where we've had an opportunity. A couple of us went to this smoked salmon demonstration down at Cowichan Bay, and we also participated in the Every Child Matters March on September 30th in Duncan. And we also helped steward the local high school's garden during the summer. And that was a challenge, let me tell you, during the heat wave, but they were super appreciative of the weeding that we did. And it was a privilege to connect with them. So here's some of the work we were able to do even as we were chartering in June. We applied for a CVRD grant for community beautification. We were actually inspired by the work that Crofton Blooms was doing. And so these two ladies had been paying out of pocket for planting up these planters that you see, and we were able to come alongside them and support them as a club. And one of them is now a member of the club. And as I mentioned, we adopted Masons and we are planting for pollinators. So this was exciting. We were able to see a huge difference in the pride that people felt when they saw the flowers and they saw just the birds foraging as opposed to piles of litter. So it was really quite nice. Our next steps are collaborating with CVRD Parks and Trails. So as I mentioned, we reached out to them and mentioned that we'd like to adopt community garden spaces and features within the parks plans that they've been making. And so we're looking forward to what that could look like and creating innovative seating areas and pods and things that would invite community spirit, which is what all of us need more of. There's also been some controversy and challenge. So we had our biggest attendance ever earlier this month when we hosted a town hall and discussion about the next phases of the rail trail going towards the Old Mill Park. And so again, collaborating with the Shawnigan Basin Society and talking about the health of the riparian zone was a big part of this conversation. And I'm just so proud of everyone who contributed to the discussion, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. So in summary, and I'm keeping one eye on the time, at Shawnigan Rotary EcoClub, we are ambassadors of outdoor education and recreation. We're champions for the preservation of land for parks and trails. We're influencers for the leave no trace use of those parks and trails, and cultivators of community gardens and beautification efforts. We'd like to be sponsors of innovative gathering spaces and always supporters of environmental initiatives. We got our start as facilitators of zero waste events and cleanups, and we're proud to continue in that area as we serve to change lives. Again, we are Shawnigan Rotary EcoClub and People of Action. We want to thank you all for your support. Do you think you're too small to change the world, to make a difference? Well, if we join together, and I have to say, it can happen right here at home and it can happen across the globe. We also have a meeting that we did with the Eco Club in Turkey, in Istanbul, and they were so excited to connect with us and discuss some of the mutual concerns that we had for our planet. Follow our stories. We have a video series and social media. There's the YouTube channel, Shawnigan Rotary, the Facebook page, Rotary Club of Shawnigan Lake EcoClub. Instagram is Shawnigan Rotary EcoClub with the dots in between, and Twitter is at Shawnigan E. And Twitter is really fun because you can really connect with the global community of Rotary as well as different topics with your hashtags. Here's our website, shawniganrotaryecoclub.ca, and many of these stories are posted there as well. And you can link to our meetings anytime by visiting the meeting info page. And there's our email. So if you have any questions, that would be great. I'd love to field some of those if there's time. And I'll stop sharing my screen now. Does anyone have any questions for us? Thank you, Jerry. I see some clapping hands. We definitely are so grateful for your support. I can see down the road where we might be investing in some brandware so that the public can notice us when we're doing our work. But right now I'm wearing the blue pin that you saw in the picture.
Kim?
Yes.
I attended that last presentation 2 Saturdays or a Saturday ago or something. I can't remember what it was. And I just wanted to let the club know I hadn't really said anything to the club about it, but I just did it because Kim had sent me the link and it was so interesting. And it really did bring out some of the issues that Shonigan Lake has that, you know, if you don't really investigate or if you don't hear from someone living there, you don't know that those are things to pay attention to. And I was especially interested in the discussion about the riparian zone along the lake, and how, you know, for all of us, I think that kind of awareness in our particular environments is really important. And I suppose we've especially seen that with the floods. So, you know, I wanted to encourage any of the club members, if you're interested in some of the environmental issues or issues, to be sure to maybe attend one of their meetings, because they have some really interesting topics. And I think maybe they can help us in our growing awareness of environmental issues as well in our club. So thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you. And I will put in a plug for the district, because they've asked us to hopefully host a page on our website of project ideas and other resource links, so that any of the clubs can go and learn more. We'd love to serve.
Don has a question.
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say, first of all, I really appreciate your presentation. In your view, how are the Eco Clubs fitting into Rotary overall, and how many clubs are you aware of how many clubs there are? And secondly, I was interested in your fundraising.
Okay, so all great questions. So as far as the Eco Clubs fitting in, it was really interesting to speak with the people in Turkey. They had very good English, and they were telling us how they were all brand new to Rotary as well, and a bit of movers and shakers where they are, because they were challenging the status quo and trying to cut down on waste and packaging and paraphernalia and swag even within Rotary. So trying to shift the mindset of Rotary traditions has been a really interesting role that the Eco Clubs play in questioning some of our procurement and decision making, and how we run our events, and ways that we can streamline them, so that we are mindful of those issues. And they were actually challenging the Rotarians in their district to revamp their gift giving habits, and so to give gifts that don't create clutter. They were actually suggesting that they lead the way in buying classes and activities for their families to partake in together, rather than things, like to be educated together and to enjoy recreation together. And so we thought that was pretty darn fabulous. And in terms of how we fit in, well, time will tell. We are building our own traditions as well, but right now our costs are very, very low. So we don't actually have a meeting cost per se. We're Zooming and meeting in free outdoor areas and just buying our own coffees and whatnot. And our cost to be a member, our dues work out to $5 a week. That covers the district as well as the international dues and our insurance fees. So yeah, for the year, we bill $65 every quarter to every member. And that, I think, is about the best way we could streamline it. So that's allowed us to save quite a bit of money. And then, like I said, we were able to apply for a grant from the Cvrd, in a grant and aid, to be able to pay for some things and getting other things by donation. So really, I think that's the way to go, is if you're going to start a club, is to not have any untoward expenses.
Thank you for that. Most appreciated.
Great questions. I hope I got them all.
Sure. You did. Thank you.
Anything else for Kim?
Yeah, I've got a question. We've got a history here along our waterfront that is a smelter, coal mines, and we've got a whole point that's all coal slack. And I was walking along the waterfront and along the railway tracks the other day, taking some photographs, and I noticed a lot of stuff is being uncovered again. And I think every time we have a storm, we're uncovering more of this 100-year-old trash that's being washed back into the ocean. And I don't know, I think there's some real opportunities for us to take a look at some green projects, some environmentally good projects.
Absolutely. And I'm excited by the fact that, you know, there is grant money available, as well as expertise available at the action group level. So we can do a shout out to those folks, and some of them have years and years of experience with remediation efforts, especially to do with water, where the water meets the land. I guess it would be a marine zone in your case, but yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again for all of your support. Oh, any more questions?
All right.
Mary.
One question, Kim. You mentioned your gardening, I believe. Did you?
Yes.
Yes. What does that look like in terms of what are you doing with that?
Oh, we were able to get some plants as rescue plants from our local thrifties. So we have a good relationship with them and some support from them. And what we were doing was taking property around the Mason store parking lot area that was just left to weeds and other things. And we were actually turning it into garden space. And we were planting perennials and other things that would be conducive to pollinators. And then we'll branch out with even more native plants as we get access to them. So it's mostly hands-on work and then donations from the community. So we got a huge donation of sedum plants for the rockery area at the front of Mason's, and that's quite visible from the road. And we're hoping to also tap into BC Transit and to encourage them to redo that area so that there's a dilapidated bulletin board and other eyesores there that could be refurbished if we pull in a few more stakeholders. So beautification, I would say, would be the number one thing, but with an eye to the pollinators.
Yes, that's an area that certainly interests me. But where did you get the money to buy all the seeds and everything else?
I actually used my business to get started. So I have a cookie business, a gingerbread cookie business, and I had done some seasonal cookies in the spring for Easter. And I used some of that money to get us started because we weren't chartered yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thanks again for joining us this evening, Kim.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for inviting us to speak on this topic. And I just invite you to check out our website and our YouTube channel and all of our social media. And I will stop the recording now.
Okay.